Hello, my name is Professor Craig Kelly. I'm a professor at the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale in the Department of Video Game Art and Design. Today I wanted to show you how to do a cartoon shaded render similar to those characters used in the video game Borderlands by Gearbox Studios. And I wanted to show you first, we're going to do several processes. The model that we're going to be using was created by one of my very talented students, Michael DeVale. He had done the model, all of the UV unwrapping, and normal map projection. So today I'm just going to be going over how to abstract line work from the normal map and then bring it into Photoshop, paint underneath, and then project it into 3D Studio Max and render it using the ink and paint shader, which you'll see very shortly. So let's begin. First thing I'm going to do is open up his files. And we'll start here with his normal maps for his body. The character that he's using is in 3D Studio Max here. Nice topology, all set, ready to go. Low poly for games. So, here's the normal map of the body. It's very even. The first thing we want to do is we're going to invert this normal. The blue values aren't really ideal for extracting line work. The blues tend to be a little too dark. So the first thing that I do is I'll go into my image adjustment and I will invert the image, giving us this red, blue, and yellowish color, or red, green, and yellow instead of the blue and purple hues. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to adjust the vibrance. And what this is going to do is allow me to take down the saturation and bring out some of the more even values for the line work here and take care of these deep shadows. And I could turn the vibrance up all the way, and that'll bring out some of my values and fine detail in the crease work that he has here. Okay, the next thing I want to do is go back into adjustments, and now I'm going to adjust the levels. Now all normal maps are standard, so you can pretty much set your levels to be about the same every time. So about 20 value black, 1.5 value midtones, and 225 value for the upper portion, and also a 200 output level of gray. And that'll give us an even normalized view for this. Okay? Now, the next thing that we're going to do is go back into hue or brightness and contrast, and I just want to touch up the contrast a little bit, and this is going to be based on what normal that you have. So if you have a high amount of detail in your normal, you want to set the contrast such as these pieces over here and the vein work in the fingers and such. So I'm going to adjust the contrast a little bit here and just bring up my values slightly. All right, set it to about 2018, and this gives me a nice even shading value set with highlights in the areas that I need them. So after all this is complete, you go to Filters, Artistic, and you bring up Posterized Edges. And posterization, this is going to find all the creases and crevices in your dock and bring out all this nice quality ink line work. Now, currently it's set with my edge thickness at 2. I could bring that up just a little bit, but you don't want to get any of this really dark shadow in here. I mean, you could, depending on what you're going for your look, but I wouldn't recommend having your edge thickness be so thick. So I would say definitely 1, and depending on what you're going for, maybe even 0. The other thing that you want to do is adjust your posterization and make sure that it's all the way up. You don't want to have any hard lines here. I mean, if you want these hard shadows to give you that graphic look, go ahead and reposterize this afterwards and save it as a separate file. But for the basic line extraction, you don't really want to have all of these graphic hard edges. So make sure that your posterization is all the way up so that it's fully blended, but the line work is still visible, and then adjust your edges accordingly. So I think we're going to go with what we have right here. And okay. And there we have. Now we still have like these really intense shadows in there. So we can go back into adjustments now and go into our levels and start to tone that down just a bit. There we go. And now we can go back into brightness and contrast and brighten up our lines here so that we can get those values. All right, and this is good to go. Now, one thing that we would want to do is go back in here and clean up some of this line work. So you may want to either, you can color this shadowing or lighten it up. I think we're okay for what we have right now, though. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this layer and duplicate it once more. Put a layer in between. And this layer is going to be my paint layer. And this layer is my ink layer. And I'm going to make sure that my ink layer is set to multiply. Okay. Also at this point, I'm going to bring down the fill just a little, go down to my paint layer, and I'm just going to fill this in with a solid color, something that's off-white, just a tad here. There we go. And now I can also take this, adjust it, and desaturate it fully so that I have more of a grayscale to work with. And let's go ahead and save this out. As a BMP. And this is Frankie Body ink. All right, so now let's take a look at what we have in 3D Studio Max for